Authentic power is not something you can misuse. If you attempt to misuse what you know spiritually, then you're in pursuit of external power. In other words, I could say something wise in order to support someone, or I could say something wise in order to impress someone. Only I know the intention behind the word. But as you begin to create authentic power, you become more and more familiar with the frightened parts of your personality. Those are the parts that want to manipulate and to control. They want to use everything, your appearance, your money, your intelligence, your wisdom, in order to manipulate and control, in order to gain, in order to satisfy their wants. But here's the thing. The more you learn about authentic power, the less satisfying that becomes to you. What you're doing is perverting. What a frightened part of your personality is doing is perverting what it's learning for its own ends. And you can do that. You can use the spiritual partnership guidelines to manipulate someone else, to feel superior to someone else, to obtain something that you want from someone else. There's so many times when Linda and I are in groups and they'll say, as a spiritual partner, I just want to tell you, and then essentially they'll say, you're a jerk. They're not trying to support me or Linda in seeing something about ourselves that we don't
They feel superior.
But they feel superior, and they feel that they can use the vehicle of the spiritual partnership guidelines to deliver a message that is judgmental and superiority, and they're thinking this is actually spiritual. But it's not. You can't fool the universe. You can't even fool yourself.
Comes back to intention.
Right.
And does it come from fear, or does it come from love?
And so when you take what you've learned, whether it's here or elsewhere, if it's a wisdom or something that can touch people, and you use it to manipulate them, when you're doing that.
Sometimes and sometimes you don't. Right.
And if you don't, it's good to have spiritual partners. Because in the spiritual partner, if they see it and will say, Eric, I'm wondering if what you said came from a frightened part of your personality. And then if it's a real spiritual partner, they won't try to convince you of that. They'll offer it. And then it's for you to look inside and see where it came from.